Welcome to this event. On behalf of the ERM program, I welcome you to the event that you're about to be part of. And it's my pleasure to introduce someone who is a person with a great resume, a polyglot, a serial entrepreneur in the commercial and the nonprofit space, and also the founder and head of the G100 nonprofit that she will be most happy to talk to you about. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Harbeen Aurora Rai.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bob. I really appreciate this opportunity to be here. My grateful regards to Professor Giovanni, to Jay, to Sam, and to Columbia University, and all dear students, sisters, and brothers who are tuning in live today and perhaps listening to the recording later. Thank you so much for this opportunity to return to Columbia. I was last here in the year 2009, and it was part of a pre-launch tour that I was doing around the Ivy League universities before launching my book. Actually, a lot of people do like a post-launch tour, but somebody suggested to me it might be good to do a pre-launch tour. And I say it was really, really phenomenal, because when I went back after that tour, I ended up changing the entire book, thanks to all the great questions I was asked in all the universities by the young leaders who would be somewhere leading some organizations today. We're in 2022. And once again, I am deeply, deeply honored and really looking forward to this opportunity to share with all the trailblazers and game changers at Columbia University from across the world what we women of the world, along with some male allies, have decided to do to change status quo around gender equality, because we hear a lot of things around it's going to take 100 years around for gender equality to truly happen. And here's a group of 100 women along with 100 men who came together and said, well, we are not waiting 100 years. And that's what the G100 is all about. Excuse me a second. I'm going to just show you the brochure here. So those are two wings, because a bird needs two wings to fly on. And I think one wing is missing in the world, because we truly do not have equal and empowered and robust participation of women in all walks of life. I mean, we do all the work, we keep up the sky, but we don't have the right pay, we don't have the say, and we don't know the way. And that's what we are here to change along with the men, because gender equality or inequality or lack of it is not a women's problem anymore. It is a societal concern. It's something that we need to together collaboratively address. Just like we addressed the pandemic, it affected us all together, across genders, across generations, across the globe, no matter where we were. Terrorism, we are affected equally by it. Climate change, we are affected equally by it. Gender inequality, we are affected equally by it. And that's the mindset change, and that's the conversation we are bringing from the G100 to intergovernmental organizations like the United Nations and a lot of NGOs, think tanks such as universities. We are on the Ivy Leagues tour because we're committed to do 100 meetings. So everything in G100 goes by 100. We have 100 global chairs, women who are eminent experts in their different sectors. For example, the wing, we have 100 wings. So each wing is led by a global chair. The wing of, for example, world peace is led by a Nobel laureate. The wing of economic empowerment is led by Dr. Maya Morsi, from the President of National Council of Women in Egypt. So these are women who are movers and shakers in their own right, and each is supported by a Denim Club partner. Denim Club is a he for she club. And for instance, we have some heads of states, like the President of Congo is on the Denim Club. We have, I think, from Georgia Institute of Technology, the president is on the Denim Club. So we have, again, male leaders. We have a prince from the royalty, Dutch royalty, as well on the Denim Club. So the whole idea is to work this path together. And it's important that we have gender harmony as a way in order to have it as an outcome, because that's what we are trying to achieve. So we must adopt it as a way as well. Like Mahatma Gandhi said, if you want non-violence as an outcome, then you must adopt it as a way as well. So that's what we're doing. To end the gender war, if we can end the gender war, and if we can have the vision of women integrated in every decision-making table at all walks, from the community level to the managerial level to the top leadership level. I think a lot of imbalances that we see in, let's say, politics or business, where you see a business being done at the cost of people and profit, or politics without purpose. I think all those things can be balanced if we can bring the balance and harmony in our homes and in our hearts, balancing the masculine side and the feminine side, the yin and the yang, and bring the flow back of the genders into every walk of economy and society. So as part of the 100 missions that we are doing, this is the 23rd mission that we have. We started last year in September 2021. We are delighted to be here in Colombia. We are doing about 8 universities, Ivy Leagues plus, across the United States on the East Coast. And here we are at Columbia sharing with all of you. I would really welcome some questions if some of you are tuning in, because each time you ask me questions, as I said, the future leaders, we go back with a lot of takeaways, knowing how we should do things better. We've already learned a few lessons across the 23 meetings. We've evolved a model called the LGOS model, which we'll be launching soon in December at our annual meeting in India, where India gets the presidency of the G20, and we launch from the 100 wings, 100 recommendations through the principles and the prism of the LGOS model to the G20 leaders as part of the gender equality track. So that's something we are really looking forward to do. So it's something I invite all the young people to join in, because we wish, our aim, our vision, our mission is to achieve gender equality in this decade of delivery of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So by 2030 is the date of the delivery of the UN SDGs. However, we believe that if you do not focus on the UN SDG of number 5, which is of gender equality, then I'm afraid we're not setting up ourselves for success of the delivery of all the other UN SDGs, because it is only with the robust participation of women, especially the way the SDGs have been articulated. They are inclusive, but they require a lot of influential participation in terms of policy, in terms of structural and systemic change, and of course the participation of women with respect and dignity, towards women, what they bring, and a change of mindsets. For instance, when you look at women's businesses that are being funded, hardly any amount of funding is going towards women businesses. I mean, we talk about in women's leadership about the glass ceiling and the glass barrier. Like, I'm sure in Columbia, in your university, in your classroom, you would have 50-50, like a balance of women and men. But when you see across the leadership roles, you see the number of women keep coming down, and there are a lot of recorded reasons for that. There's data around that. But for the men, it keeps going up, and that's precisely because the barriers keep going up. And then we are in the place of privilege. We are here because we made it. But the other side is also the sticky bottom, is where you just can't get yourself out of the quagmire of circumstances that envelop you, which disallow you from dreaming. You're told not to dream because you really can't attain your dreams. And I'm talking of millions of women who are excluded even from coming to the starting ground of opportunity, who are not entering into the education. So the first E of LGOS is actually education. L is woman, and GOS means children in French. And that's how we acronym this 10-letter word, which is about the principles of equality, of leadership, of legislation, of empowerment, all kinds of empowerment, governance, ownership, security, solidarity, sustainability, and equality. And these are the 10 principles that we are working on and launching our recommendations through that. Truly, it's a global initiative. So on the global chairs, not only would you see women from the United States or the developed West, but you actually see women represented from different countries who possibly would not be included in positions of power. So what the model that we are working around in the G100 is also offering a model to the whole world of how the entire gamut of diversity of voices and visions can actually be included in a spirit of equality and support and solidarity. And that's what we have, it's solidarity and support of each other. We started 10 years ago. This is the fifth of our platforms. And actually there are, we rest on the work that has been done on a lot of other platforms. This was the first platform we started, which was the All Ladies League, which acronyms to all, with a simple 3-letter philosophy that there's possibility in all, this potential in all. So more power to all. And so we work with an ethos of inclusion. We started with the she for she spirit, the sisterhood spirit, because it was a platform for women. It's only after 10 years we really arrived at including male allyship. A lot of healing needed to be done among women as well. We often grew up listening to women are women's worst enemies, and we're like, that doesn't make sense. We go through the same struggles and we understand each other. The next generation can actually grow up believing otherwise, which is actually the more logical, correct, positive way of thinking. Was women are women's best allies, women are women's best sisters, women are women's best friends. And that's what we accomplished over the past years, is really getting this vibe and tribe of global sisterhood. So All Ladies League is a platform of sisterhood beyond borders. We actually have these bands which symbolize this sisterhood beyond borders. So each bead is like each woman anywhere in part of the world. And so this is a band, we call it Shakti Bandhan in India. It's a festival we started. In India, we have a festival for everything because we really believe is in community. So there was a festival called Raksha Bandhan, where a sister ties it to the brother for her security. Raksha is security. I said, why can't sisters tie it to each other? We are supporting each other. We are providing security to one another. So we tie these bands to one another. As a spin-off of that festival, so every 5th of October, we celebrate Shakti Bandhan. So I offer this to all my sisters tuning in today, all the women tuning in today, and also to the women and ladies in the families of the gentlemen tuning in today. This is our she for she bond. And so we started with this, and now it's for every reason and every season. It keeps that spirit of community, the spirit of sisterhood alive among women, and creates this spirit of sisters beyond borders. And then we graduated to the next platform, which has actually become very popular now. We are going to be celebrating our 84th edition in December, which I just recently spoke about, the Women Economic Forum. So we said, what can we do with this emotional, psychological support that we've got with women supporting women? All our platforms are free, by the way. It's anybody can join from anywhere. So it's vertical networks, it's horizontal networks, it's giving policy. So I'll come to it one by one. So the Women Economic Forum came as a platform for using this entire network of emotional support and systems. How can we become economically independent and have thriving businesses using this network as a base? Because we often lag behind in networking because we don't follow the masculine models of networking as well. We have different choices, everything different. So the Women Economic Forum became our place for doing business beyond borders. It's a simple platform of storytelling where we come and share about our struggles, our stories, our dreams, our aspirations, our businesses, and we make sisters and friends, and we do business together, joint ventures together. Those are the outcomes. And these have happened across 40 countries. Our website is wef.org.in, so you can go and have a look over there, participate in some of them. We welcome young people to come speak. Everybody gets 3 minutes. So it's a very vibrant style of sharing, no PowerPoints, because we can find those on Google, but we don't find you on Google. So we need you. We want to listen to you. We want to have eye contact. We want to have heart-to-heart sharing, heart-to-heart connection in a shared spirit of kinship and humanity. And then we launched a platform called the Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which is pretty much what G100 is doing at the global level, which is influencing policy, advocating changes, using the network to address governments and institutions to bring in policies and a sense of purpose around gender equality. The Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry Wiki has as we call it in short form, does that at an India level. It's amongst the large, fastest rising economies in the world. We just upped the United Kingdom as well. So, the world is coming to India, looking at India, but I truly believe our leadership is, of course, now economic as well as a big juggernaut, but at the same time, the leadership is very spiritual at the same time, which has rooted in a vision of an equalizing vision of oneness, looking at the world as a circularity and overcoming all the divides and the barriers and the hierarchies which are dividing us all. So I think it is in India that we believe what unites us is far, far greater than what divides us. And I think that vision is very integral to what we are doing and channeling towards the cause and purpose of gender equality. And then, of course, we have a very interesting platform called She Economy. I'm currently very focused on G100, but She Economy is like an app and a website where women from all over the world can upload their products or their services and do B2B, B2C businesses. And that's something I'm very passionate about. It's a free platform again. And then the G100 here. So that's it. That was quite a ride. I encourage you to go through our website and join us. You could lead your country in the youth wing, but also lead it in anything that you're passionate about. Each G100 Global Chair nominates 100 country chairs in 100 countries. So if you would like to join us, please do. We also have a wing for alliances and alumni. So if you know any alumni groups that are interested in gender equality, or any student groups that are students for gender equality, please let us know, and we welcome women and men to join us. So we got this. We can do this in the next 10 years, and we do not have to wait 100 years. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Harbeen, for this very informative speech. Please use the Q&A at the bottom of your screen to type in any questions you might have. So, Dr. Harbeen, what do you expect a university to, what type of help do you need from a university?
Definitely. Thank you, Bob. I would really love to engage with the young minds in your university, because this is where the future is being groomed. So we would love to learn from the young leaders who are present here today. It was 20 years that I went to university, so it's time to always, I think the only skill we can give ourselves is the skill of lifelong learning, and to learn in reverse mentoring from the young leaders of today who have a different vision of looking at things, who are minus the baggage, who can bring a fresh perspective to gender equality. So my email is ha@g100.in. HA for Harbeen Arora @g100.in. So feel free to reach out to me, email me, and share with me how you'd like to join us. As I said, it's my invitation and free. So all women, all men, all young people, if you know somebody who's interested, and we would love to launch a joint program with the ERM program or any other program which would be related to gender equality. We have a huge network of 250,000 women in 150 countries, and of course the G100 global chairs, the country chairs. There is, it's free of cost. It's something we want to do in solidarity. Offer mentoring groups, or create discussion groups, or create Denim Club dialogues, because Denim Club is a he for she champions club. I mean, anything. We are very, very open on anything where you find any synergy or anything where we can really be your allies. We are very open, and we work with goddess speed.
Okay, well, that's a very ambitious agenda, and in terms of industry, do you is that in your plans to connect with industry as well?
Yes, very much. So we're connecting with everyone. So all stakeholders in society, including the corporates, the small businesses, and organizations which are associations for small businesses, intergovernmental organizations as well, and universities, like we are doing the tour. So in the G100 sectors, 100 sectors as well, we have infrastructure, for example, as a vertical. It's led by a former Minister of Housing in Spain. We have manufacturing and industry as a vertical. We have entrepreneurship as a vertical. We have micro, small, and medium enterprises as a vertical. So there are all these sectors, and through these wings and through the network that the global chairs form in these wings, we work with the different stakeholders in different countries. For instance, we just recently did an 8-country tour of the Balkan countries. That was also quite a marathon tour, like we are doing with the Ivy Leagues as well. So each time we set out in the morning, and then we reach whichever place, and then the business chambers over there and the women's associations over there, supported by the universities, by the corporates, would organize, and the government would organize like meetings where we would, like 100 people who would be thought leaders in their own right, and we would go and meet with them, and then next projects are continuing with them. So we continue this conversation. I think when we are in the same room, we strike these conversations with an open heart. I think there's always trust building. There's always a sense of togetherness, and which leads to teamwork. And I think that's the missing link at the moment, the trust, togetherness, and teamwork. And that's the gap we are trying to bridge by just showing up, being there, reaching out, and in all body, mind, heart, and soul in as best as we can. And it's heartily reciprocated, I must say. It's been a fantastic journey, and we are far richer in terms of the people who have joined us, far more enlightened in terms of receiving the kind of inputs we've received, and far more aligned, and we are mitigating the barriers between us and them when it comes to genders, when it comes to different countries. I think we are feeling that sense of oneness as we are moving around, that we are all human at the end of the day. We all have the same aspirations and the same dreams and the same barriers. So the more we help each other, everyone's better off together.
That's excellent. And in terms of, you mentioned all those verticals, how about finance?
Yes, absolutely. We have a vertical of financial empowerment. We have a vertical of funding and finance. We have about, let's say, these different clusters are approached in different ways. So one could be, let's say, financial literacy could be an aspect of finance that's covered as well, or funding and finance, the flow of funds to women founders. That could be another aspect of finance. So all these different aspects are covered, and we continue work with the global chairs to evolve the wings in order to bridge the gaps. Actually, our annual meeting in India is called Bridge the Gap, because there's so many gaps. So we are also keep merging some wings sometimes for solidarity, creating new wings. So if we are into motion as well, we are a work in progress, and it's a 10-year project. It will see some changes, but all for the better, and responding to the learnings that we are having. And I said, the ethic of lifelong learning. We have 100 commitments because we are a group. It's all on our website, 100 commitments, things we have committed ourselves to as a group, because we come from different cultures, different backgrounds. So what is the sort of the spinal cord that aligns us into this one upright body is our dedication to those 100 commitments. And it's worked very well now. I call it the picnic model. Everybody is encouraged to bring something to the picnic. It's a sunny, vibrant, positive picnic. So you bring bread, you bring a guitar, you bring a song, you bring a smile, you show up, whichever way you can. Everybody has something to contribute, and we have to overcome this limiting idea of mint only as currency. There are multiple kinds of currency, community capital being one, and we are doing our best to develop that because that's also integral to developing our self-confidence, our confidence in our capability to reclaim our power to be the change and make the change.
Okay, we have some questions here. So, Dr. Harbin, I applaud your leadership in this initiative. As a faculty member in ERM, how can you educate and engage the thinking of our students in this important cause?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
That's
thank you
from
so
Dr. Ippoliti.
Dr. Ippoliti, thank you so much for that question. I've always been a great proponent of mitigating borders and barriers. And I think that applies to every institution, every case is always like in architecture. We enjoy the architecture where we can get the outside inside, like the architecture in Bali or in Sri Lanka, where you have a sort of seamlessness between the inside and the outside. And I think that holds true for all institutions. We cannot become ivory towers wherever we are. We have to allow the outside to come inside and the inside to go outside. So engagement with the of university groups with non-university groups, invitation to non-university groups to university. It enriches both sides. I think you are doing one such thing today by opening the hearts and doors to us, to the G100, to be present here today. Through the G100, we could be your windows of opportunity to anything that you'd like. We would love to continue this engagement and bring this kind of change through engagement and experience, because nothing like experience to change our minds.
Well, that's wonderful. In terms of in terms of the 2030 UN
Yes.
goals, what do you see as the most serious impediments to satisfying the Article 5?
I think having traveled a lot and having this experience of the past decade and working with a lot of leaders, the biggest challenge that we feel is mindset. While the data might show otherwise, for instance, we were having this discussion about why does so less money go to women founders, whereas the data shows that when you actually invest in a woman founder, the rate of the ROI is much higher. But it comes to the mindset where mostly it's the men sitting holding the purse strings and they think, oh, it's very risky to invest in women. But that's a mindset. That's a perception, and I think there's an inequality in the power. It's inequality in the self-assessment as well. For instance, if you offer something like an award to a man, he's like, yeah, sure, thank you, I'll be there. What time? And if you would offer that to a lady who's also even like a woman who's on top leadership, like, really, do I deserve it? So there is a confidence gap as well. And it's not because we are less confident. It's just that we've internalized these voices in our head, which have been coming for centuries. Right. So it's internalized, it's passing on. We've seen this at work. So you could be Columbia educated or not educated at all, and you would have the same struggles when you head back home. You would probably deal with them differently because you've got this education. You're probably more rebellious with an education. It probably, may or may not be, but the struggles would be the same. You would be discounted the same way. You would be diminished the same way. You may have to face derogatory remarks the same way. You may have to struggle every day to prove yourself, and gets really, really tiring at times. So those would be the same. And when it comes to men, with all due apologies, I'm with some of the finest men in the room today, but I'm talking globally, whether you would be Columbia educated or not at all, the mindset would be the same, vis-a-vis looking at a woman and without even knowing the perceptual barriers, discounting immediately what she might have to say and finding ways to see why things won't work with her rather than they may do. So things like it would be okay for you to make as a woman, the food in the kitchen, but suddenly when you come to the dining place, it's not okay for you to voice your opinion anymore and you could be Columbia educated or not, it would be the same. I've been Columbia educated, I might fight for my right because I'm more aware of my right, but it's still a struggle. So I think those are the impediments we are facing, but I'm very sure and very positive that with a very positive step and track that we've created about making room for the men in the denim club and making this gender conversation, big denim, why? Because we all wear denim without any distinction. It's the same denim. So it's a great symbol for having cool and confident conversations in a spirit of equality and mutual respect. We can truly bring down the barriers, we increase trust building, and we can bring forth the realization that we're all the same. And we have to stop seeing each other through the lens of the gender, because that it's like at one of our events, a lady from the Navy spoke to us, and she said, the moment I stepped into the ship, the captain told me, you leave your gender outside of the ship when you enter the ship, because the ocean doesn't see your gender. And that's true. The forces of nature don't see, they just see the energy that we have, but people do. And we are working with that. So those are the big impediment, how to have a vision of unity beyond the body, beyond the color, beyond the background, beyond the language, beyond the culture, and how to make that a reality. And we can only do that by mitigating this divide between us and them, whether it comes to genders, whether it comes to different countries, different backgrounds, and taking away this condescension, which comes from having more power or a superiority complex or an inferiority complex, and just equalizing the place for everybody. And without education, it cannot be done. Without Columbia, it cannot be done.
All right. Now, in terms of best practices, right? Your goal is to get 100 countries.
Yes.
And you're making progress.
Yes.
Towards that end.
Yeah.
Some things are done well in one country. In the US, for example, there's support in the form of preferences for minority
Yes.
women led businesses to get access to finance and so forth. Is your organization able to share best practices?
Yes, very much. As I said, over the past 23 meetings, we've developed a model, the LGOS model, which is precisely because we have members from different countries. So instead of offering, imposing kind of recommendations or suggestions from the outside, or let's say saying, oh, everybody should have 30% quotas. Instead of saying that, we're saying, look, legislation is a very important piece of the LGOS model. Look at your country, look at your context, and see what kind of legislation or self-regulation or policy is going to work for you. But however, this is how it works for different countries. So we are creating this co-thinking space, co-creative space, but also giving tools and parameters and benchmarks for people to self-assess and self-review. Again, taking everybody along in this co-creation.
Wonderful. Let's see if there are any other questions here.
Yes, we'd be very happy to develop a live case study with you. And yes, we are very excited, and the students could be involved. I say yes to that. Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, so
I think, yeah, 11:30, time's up.
yes, it's okay. Is that what Joshua says? All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Harbin, for this wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much.
And good luck with your efforts.
Thank you. Thank you for your support. God bless. Thank you.